Welcome to Learn English with Fun with 𝙛𝙪𝙣. Hello there, this is Govind here. Welcome to Learn English with Fun with 𝙛𝙪𝙣. Twice every week, we focus on English grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. In today's episode, we are going to look at a grammar concept, well, not exactly grammar alone, but vocabulary too, which is called phrasal verb. What is a phrasal verb? How should you use it? Are getting detailed in this episode. As always, we have exciting stuff such as quiz and fun aspect of English language. Stay tuned. Remember, if you need any help with your English language skills, then be sure to check out with 𝙛𝙪𝙣 by subscribing to our Spotify podcasts or search Learn English with Fun. If you don't have a Spotify account, you can visit www.𝙤𝙪𝙣.com for the complete set of our podcasts, which are categorized as per the discussion. Do note that our podcasts are short and impactful and are posted twice a week. Now, what are phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are two or more words that together act as a completely new verb with a meaning separate from those of the original words. For example, pick up means to grab or lift, very different from the definitions of pick and up alone. It is popular in spoken English but can be quite confusing because their definitions are not always easy to guess. And there are thousands of phrasal verbs. In fact, many of the base verbs used to form phrasal verbs are used in multiple different phrasal verbs with distinct meanings, which can add to the confusion. For multilingual speakers in particular, phrasal verbs are one of the most difficult topics in learning English and is never taught in full in your school grammar. So we are delving deeper to demystify and understand quite a bit on phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs usually have at least one literal meaning. For example, she took off her coat, which means she removed an article of clothing. Or the librarian took the book off the shelf, which means he lifted an object from a surface. Or the plane took off, which means it left the ground. They also have at least one metaphorical or idiomatic meaning. In other words, a kind of secret meaning which is not immediately obvious from the meaning of the verb and the additional preposition or prepositions, for instance. Let us look at take off in detail. Sales took off means sales increased rapidly. He was good at taking off the teacher, which means he was good at imitating for comic effect. Let us delve deeper. They are challenging to learn because there are many meanings for each one, as we say in the example of took off, and they were often unrelated, as well as their meaning is not always apparent from the two or three words that comprise them. Phrasal verbs are often made up of very commonly used hot verbs such as make, take, do, get, put, give. These verbs are used so commonly that it is hard to identify their meaning in a particular context. In some ways, they have little or no meaning in themselves. Their meaning is defined by the context in which they are used and the prepositions that follow it with which they are teamed in case of phrasal verbs. Now let us see the best way to learn the phrasal verbs. Think of each phrasal verb as a single item of vocabulary. Learn it as a chunk. As a chunk, it has a different meaning from the individual part. Learn phrasal verbs in context. Write and record example sentences that make it clear from the surrounding situation what the meaning is. You can also record a one-word synonym or a synonymous or parallel phrase in English or a translation to your own language if absolutely necessary. It is better to do all vocabulary note making and learning solely in English if you can. For example, if you want to learn the phrasal verb to make up, you could write example sentences with clear context with a synonym embedded in the example. Her grandfather made up a story. Here, made up meant invented. Second, the pharmacist made up the prescription. Here, made up meant prepared and packaged. Third, she said she was sorry and the friends made up. Here, made up meant repaired their damaged relationship. Fourth, 5 bowlers and 6 batsmen made up the cricket team. Here, made up meant comprised. Fifth, he worked late to make up the hours he had taken off to go to the dentist. Here, make up meant basically to fill the shortfall. If you pay $10 each, I will make up the rest. Here, make up meant I will pay the remainder. Interestingly, these days we don't usually say that someone is making up her face. It sounds unusual, probably because of the wide variety of meanings of the phrasal verb make up. We would rather say that she is doing her makeup or putting on her makeup. When a phrasal verb like make up evolves to become a noun, we write it with a hyphen like make hyphen up cosmetics, take hyphen off plane departure, or lift hyphen off rocket launch. Always remember that if you need additional help with your grammar, if you want to understand everything you hear or read and you want to express yourself completely, then check out www.𝙤𝙪𝙣-𝙠𝙗𝑒.com, where you can take great online English courses on a range of different topics. In this section, let us do a few quizzes to help you understand some of the popular phrasal verbs. In this quiz, for each question, I will say 2 sentences along with the choice, after which you will be given 5 seconds to identify the correct answer. The correct answer will be revealed after those 5 seconds with a detailed explanation. Are you ready? Yes, I am ready. Let us move on to the first quiz. Which of these statements is correct? A. You can look up words in a dictionary. B. You can look after words in a dictionary. Well, the answer is A. You can look up words in a dictionary. Look up here meant finding or looking for information about something. You can also look up to someone. When we say that, look up means you are admiring that person. Also, you look up to someone when you are meeting the person after a long time. Let us see one more common use of look up. If a situation is looking up, here it means looking up means improving. Well, that was quite a bit, wasn't it? Good. Let us look at the second quiz. The second quiz, which statement is correct? Statement A. The song has already made out millions of dollars. Statement B. The song has already made up millions of dollars. Well, the answer is B. Made out here meant total. Make out or made out has many other usages. For example, if you make something out, you manage with difficulty to see or hear it. The second usage is if you make something out, you try to understand it or decide whether or not it is true. The third meaning is if you make something out to be the case, you are trying to make people believe the case. Fourthly, if you make out a case for something, you are trying to establish or prove that it is the best thing to do. Fifthly, when you make out a check or order form, you will write all necessary information on it. There are many other such usages for make out or made out. We have detailed make up, made up in our earlier section. If you need to revisit, you may rewind and listen from there again. Well, let us move on to the third quiz. The third quiz, which statement is correct? Statement A, could you speak out? I can't hear you. Statement B, could you speak up? I can't hear you. Well, the answer is B, could you speak up? I can't hear you. Speak up here meant to speak more loudly. Let us now see the other usages of speak up. If you speak up, you say something, especially to defend a person or protest about something rather than just saying nothing. Moving on to the speak out, it is used as in if you speak out against something or in favor of something, you are publicly saying that you think it is bad or good. As mentioned earlier, we can keep going on with thousands of phrasal verbs, but we know you like this quiz way of learning. So let us do one last quiz for this episode. Quiz 4. Which statement is correct? Statement A. The dam cannot hold on that much water. Statement B. The dam cannot hold back that much water. Well, the answer is statement B. The dam cannot hold back that much water. Hold back here means to keep it in reserve for later use. The other usages of hold back are 1. If you hold back or if something is holding you back, you are hesitating or you are unsure if that is the right thing. 2. To hold someone or something back means to prevent someone from doing or prevent something from happening. 3. To hold back information means you do not include it in the information you are giving about something. 4. If you hold back your laugh or tears means you are making an effort to stop showing your feelings. Let us move on to hold on. The usages of hold on include 1. If you hold on or hold on to something, you are keeping your hand around it to prevent it from falling or supporting yourself. 2. If you hold on, you manage to achieve success or avoid failure in spite of great difficulties or opposition. 3. If you ask someone to hold on, you are asking them to wait for a short time. That comes to the end of our quiz section. Stay tuned for the next section. Wow, that quiz section was long, isn't it? Well, phrasal verbs are used widely in speech and much less frequently in writing. Movies and TV series are excellent resources for learning phrasal verbs. Watch with English subtitles so you can read the phrasal verbs when you hear them and make the association between what you hear and what you read. Fluent English speakers run words together, especially idiomatic language such as phrasal verbs. So when you are listening or watching without English subtitles, it can be challenging to determine where one word ends and where the next one starts. You will probably come across instances where a phrasal verb in a particular context is completely baffling. There are many phrasal verbs that use quite uncommon verbs, and even those with common verbs can be difficult to grasp the meaning when embedded in a stream of speech. So now pause the video or write down the phrasal verb that you don't understand and look it up. Be prepared to spend time doing this because there may be 10 or more meanings for a phrasal verb and you will need to do some detective work to figure it out. Now, stay tuned for the fun part, and this is about a confusing sentence. Just stay tuned. Well, the fun part and the confusing sentence is: the man, the professor, the student has studies India. Let me repeat. The man, the professor, the student studies India. Did it make any sense? No, right? That was awkward. But you should note that it is a grammatically correct sentence. A grammatically correct sentence is a product of what is known as center embedding. In English, we can typically put one clause inside of another without any problem. We can take the man studies India and add a bunch of additional information between the noun and the verb. However, the more information that is added, the harder it is to interpret the sentence. In this particular case, the sentence conveys the following. The student has the professor who knows the man who studies ancient India. Each noun corresponds to a verb. The man studies. The student has. But because of the sentence's syntax, this is hard to decipher. Remember, just because a sentence is grammatically correct doesn't mean it is acceptable stylistically. Great. Thanks so much for listening in. Hopefully you found that helpful. Remember to check out www.𝙤𝙪𝙣-𝙠𝙗𝑒𝙪 to put some of this information into practice. Signing off now, this is Govind. See you in the next episode. Have a nice time.